Welcome, everyone, to In the Spotlight. My guest tonight is living proof that being brave and taking a chance can lead to amazing things happening. Please welcome to the Spotlight from the other side of the great state of Pennsylvania, Josie Sal. Josie, welcome to the show and welcome to the
Thank
Spotlight.
you. And thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. I'm so glad to have you on the show. I will tell you, in looking at your bio, it is just amazing all of the things that you've accomplished already. And I just know that the possibilities for you down the road are endless, and we'll get to that. But if you don't mind, I thought we'd maybe start, just turn the clock back just a little bit to Florida, a little over 1,000 miles from where you are right now in the Pittsburgh area, and a dare from your dad. So, can
Yeah,
you share with
so
us what that dare was and what happened afterward?
about 2 years ago, I just 2 years just stuck in my head, but now I'm like, it's probably been about 2.5 years. December of 2021, the whole COVID thing was happening, and me and my parents were like, we should just get a house in Florida. Like, we love it down there, and if this whole thing happens again, where else to be than Florida? And like 5 minutes from my house, there's a little place called Fisherman's Village. And it was my first time. There's a bunch of shops. And of course, I asked my dad, I was like, can I have some money to go shopping? And it was me and my sister, and we were like, how much can we get dad to give us this time? And he was like, no, sit with us at the dinner table. And he was like, but I'll give you $20 if you sing with the band. I was like, I couldn't really sing. Like, we had never thought, my dream wasn't to be a singer. It wasn't like when I'm older I'm going to be touring and on like singing on the biggest stages. It was like I wanted to be a dancer. I was with my sister, we were dancing, and it wasn't really anything else. But I could kind of sing one song. It didn't sound bad, so my parents thought it was like a little fun thing that I could do. And I kind of put it to the side. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I can kind of sing, but it wasn't good. And so he asked the band. At first, they said no. We said this isn't karaoke, but we had no expectations because we didn't actually know I could sing. So
Wow.
we sat down, we ate dinner, and then my dad, he asked someone else. He was like, "Can she just sing one song?" And they were packing up, and I was like, me and my whole entire family, we were mortified. I was like, "No, he did not just ask again." And they said yes. And I got up and I sang Dance Monkey by Tones and and they I I sang, and at the end you see someone high-fiving my dad, and it was the person that originally said no, and she said, "You didn't tell me she was going to do that." I didn't know I was going to do that. We were all shocked. We were all People came out from inside, people came out from everywhere, and they were just people went on the dance floor, and I ate it up. I love it, and I caught the bug.
Wow. Well, Josie, I have to tell you, I am a big believer in that old expression that everything happens for a reason. And there is absolutely a reason why, regardless of whether or not you thought you could do it, your dad was persistent and got you that opportunity. And you made the most of it, not even know. That's what I meant when I said you are incredibly brave. That is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know anything about like the but I just remember I was in the middle of singing it. The first thing that popped in my mind was like, please don't forget these lyrics. It was like, it's one thing if you sound bad, it's another if you forget the lyrics and you sound bad. And then he handed me what I thought was the better mic, because I mean it was like gold and the girl was using it. So I was like, okay, I bet this is the better mic. And now obviously I know it was the better mic, but I was like, don't do this. I was like, don't turn me up or anything. It's like, but now I really like it, and I sing with the band all the time. They're called Southbound, and they're a local band in like Florida. And yeah, so my dad, he's gotten most of my opportunities. He's Every time me and my mom are like, no, 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 and he does it every time, like Jelly Roll, and Lainey Wilson is pretty much because of him too. So
Well, I was going to ask you about that. You just segued right into it. I mean, you go from this place in Florida where obviously, and I think you said afterwards, you kind of got the bug right then and there, right? Once you had that feeling of being up there.
As soon as I got off the stage, I was like, wait, I like this a lot. I was
Yeah.
like, I've always been a dancer, so I've always loved performing and like making people happy. But there was something about singing, and like I know how much me and my grandpa love music, so I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah. So in that particular situation, I mean, no matter what, when you're doing something, especially for the first time like that, there's going to be some nerves. And hopefully by the time you get into it a little bit, they kind of go away and you just go with the flow. But you just mentioned Lainey Wilson and Jelly Roll. So you go from this venue in Florida, which was great because that's where it all started. But then you're going up on stage in front of thousands of people with probably the two biggest acts in country music today. So, are there even words to describe those experiences? And were you nervous as you were hitting the stage either time?
Um, Jelly Roll, I wasn't nervous. I don't know what it was. I think being in front of a crowd of 26,000 people is way easier than being in front of a crowd of four people.
Mm.
Um, I love singing here, but I think I get more nerves here. I don't really get nervous often, but here I get more nervous than being on stage with thousands of people. But there's no way to explain any of my feelings that were going on at any of the times because Lainey Wilson, I was like, I think it was probably a couple months after I even started singing. Like I was still taking like vocal lessons, trying to learn how to even sing at all. And singing with her was like, well, first of all, I was in awe because I was like, oh my gosh, Lainey Wilson's right in front of me. Um, but I mean, in the video, I'm on my dad's shoulders, and I was literally crying. I was like, I probably don't sound good at all, but like this is crazy. And there's so many funny videos. My brother was video. She was videoing 'cause his girlfriend was like, "Oh, this is like the one Josie wants to sing," and in the video she's done singing and I'm getting off my dad's shoulders because he was like, my back is breaking, like you need to, like I'm not I'm not young enough for this anymore. And so he was like telling my sister to get me down, and all of a sudden she starts walking around stage. She's like, where's Josie? And I'm like hitting him. I'm like, dad, get up, get up. And all of a sudden you see my brother like hitting his girlfriend. He's like, that's Josie. And I think we were all shocked. We were all, I didn't know what was going on at all. And then, yeah. And then Jelly Roll was a lot smoother, thankfully.
Yeah, well, I've seen clips of both because there's quite a few out there on YouTube of both of those performances, and especially I think I noticed to your point in Jelly Roll as you walked out, and he just seems so welcoming with his presence and the way he was on stage. And then at the end, when he kind of gives you the high five as you're walking off, I mean that you just really were you look like you'd been doing it for years.
I mean, it felt so natural, especially the first time. It just felt like I was doing it my whole life. Like this, especially these past 2.5 years, it's felt like it's been 10 years. It feels
Hmm.
like it's been like I've been doing this my whole life. So it was really cool being on stage with him, and he's such a sweet person. It was a little scary because I couldn't hear myself.
Oh, wow.
The next day was scarier, I think, than the actual night it happened because I was looking at videos and I was like, I don't claim that's me anymore. It's like that wasn't me. I don't claim that. That's not. Um, it didn't sound the greatest, but it was crazy. It was so cool.
Wow. No, absolutely. And now since that time, what I find even more impressive now, I'm looking at some of the music that you've put out since those performances. And within the last few months, I know there's been a couple singles that you put out. You put out On My Way, which you wrote yourself, right?
I wrote it with Noah Henson
Okay.
and Noah West, which Noah Henson is Brantley Gilbert's guitar player. He's also my
Okay.
producer. I love him. He's so sweet. And then Noah West, he's a local Nashville songwriter. And he's like, it was so easy to get in a room with them because Noah West is like, he was just like my big brother, and like, I could see the resemblance too. So it was really easy just to just to sit in a room with them. It wasn't at all intimidating or anything. I think that was why it was so easy.
Well, had you written any songs or tried to write any songs on your own before you went in there with them to write that?
Not really. I've always loved writing. I have so many journals from whenever I was a kid. I would always write. Um, the it wasn't the first song I've written. I wrote one song when I was probably about 8, and it was about my grandpa who passed away. Um, so I've always written. Writing was like how I got everything out,
Hmm.
which is why I think it's crazy that now it all was like, wait, I've kind of always been a songwriter in a way. So now it's really easy now that I know how. But I've written probably one song before that.
Well, and you mentioned your grandfather, and he was kind of a big inspiration in terms of music for you, wasn't he?
Yeah, we listen to music all the time. It was always, we woke up, it was music. We'd go to bed, it was music. We wouldn't watch TV, we'd sit there and list our favorite songs of music. When he passed away, we literally listed the top 100 country songs. So it was like music was everything.
Wow, that's phenomenal. That is so amazing to have that kind of relationship, and he lives on through you and your music, which is just so special. And I also wanted to mention one thing before we get into your brand new single, your cover of Black Velvet. I mean, Alana Miles would be proud of that version of this. It is just absolutely fantastic, and you just crushed it. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Obviously,
Thank you.
it's a cover, but you did such a and you kind of made it your own, which I really like too. It wasn't like somebody singing it. You made it your own. You put your stamp on it, and then you follow that up with Country Gold. So what's the story behind the new single?
So it comes out October 17th, which it's kind of funny because that's the anniversary of whenever my parents met, so it's kind of cool. But it's really about how I was raised on country music and how I grew up listening to Kenny Rogers and Reba and Patsy Cline. Um, it was mainly country music. I kind of wrote it about like how like my mom and dad grew up and then how they raised me like that. And then of course my grandpa also like everything was all old music. I always listen to oldies. Me and my brother share like a playlist like probably 27 hours long, and it's all just old music. It's the Beach Boys, it's Kenny Rogers. So it's pretty much how I was raised on old country music, the classics.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting is that there's whether it's 70s, 80s, 90s, there's so many elements of those songs and the stories and the lyrics that are kind of coming back. And it's great to hear because to me that's one of the wonderful things about country music is you could close your eyes and feel like you're in the story. And even though I've only heard a portion of Country Gold, I already get that feeling. Plus, it kind of kicks butt too. I like the vibe to it. It's
Thank you.
definitely a great driving song. It's like there's almost like a Southern rock influence in there, which is great. I love that type of music because when you listen to it, you can't sit still. You got to be moving. You got to be doing something. So I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the song. And I also understand there's going to be a video for it coming out as well.
Yeah, it was like always there's always been an artsy side to me. I always loved drawing and writing was pretty much like all the time. So I couldn't wait to make a music video, and this is my first music video. I had ideas for all of the songs that I've ever written, and every time I write a new song, at the end of it, we're like, all right, now guys, what's the video gonna be like? So it's my first video, but I'm super excited. My dad's in it, and it cracks everyone we know up because he's driving in this old truck, and people are like, "That's so funny that your dad's in it." But I can't wait. It was so much fun to make too.
Well, I can't wait either. Definitely looking forward to seeing the video and hearing the rest of the song. Now, I want to switch gears because there's something I did see a video on your website that I thought was really cool. And it was you, I think you were receiving a Zoom call or Zoom conference from a producer from a very special show who extended a VIP audition invitation to you that you can't even cash in for a couple of years, right? So, what was that experience like?
It was crazy. It happened right after I sang with Lainey. The next morning, my phone was getting blown up. I was like, who's calling me at 6 o'clock in the morning? Everyone knows I'm not awake at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was like, you know me, I'm not awake. And I was like getting sick of the notifications. So I picked up my phone and I was like, okay, what's going on? And the top text is from my neighbor who's like my sister. And she's like, American Idol is asking who you are. And I was like, that woke me up. I was calling everyone. I was like, Mom, where are you? I was like, do you see what's going on? And I was calling my friends. I was like, I know none of us are awake, but you need to be tagging me in this comment. Because American Idol commented, who knows Josie? We'd love to meet her. And I was like, what the heck is going on? The next day, obviously, like since the time is off, they emailed us. They got a hold of my account and everything. They emailed us, and they were like, "We'd love to Zoom." And me and my parents were like, well, I'm still like in Scholar Rock. Like I don't know what's going on. And I was like, I'm trying to learn how to sing. I don't know anything about music, and I was like, I'm not ready to audition for anything. Um, and he was like, we just wanted to reach out and tell you that we have a VIP pass when you turn 15. And I was like, hold on. I was like, slow down. My jaw was on the floor. I was like, let me just grab my jaw real quick. I was like, I don't know what's going on. And and it was also like I just started singing, so it wasn't like I've been wanting to, especially like a show like that. I was like, I watched that. Me and my family watched that all the time. Every time there was a new season, we'd all be sitting on the couch watching, and then now I have VIP pass, and we all think it's crazy. I still can't wrap my head around it. I still can't wrap my head around anything that's happened, but it was definitely a cool thing that happened.
Yeah, and I can't help but think that because you now have that time between now and then, and I get the feeling that you're going to be working hard every day to get better every day. So the person that they invited is not going to be anything compared to the person that they get in a couple of years. You're going to be in a whole different place. I can't help but imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, I still am like the thing about like especially like my dad and my parents, it's like we're not a family. Like my whole family were very close and we're not a family to give up or and it's not like I love my family and I love them for this reason, but they're not going to sit here and tell me I did good. They're going to be like, "Here's what you did wrong." Okay? And I love that because it's like I'll fix it immediately or else they will be on me forever. So, I think it's really cool, and I have a lot of support. So I hope that I will surprise them at what happens whenever I go on.
I know you will, and I look forward to it. And one thing before I ask, I do have one last question for you, but I'm thinking that we created this in the spotlight segment so that we could have additional opportunities to have our guests on, whether it's on the Rosie and Bill show, on in the spotlight. And now that I know you a little bit, Josie, I think that I can see many more appearances on our show moving forward and just kind of tracking your trajectory as you continue to rise. And I would love to just watch it, experience it, and cheer you on from the other side of Pennsylvania. So whether you're in Pittsburgh, Nashville, Florida, wherever you are, you've got huge fans right here in Philadelphia. So my last question for you is a quick comment and question together. Um, I think it's probably safe to say that most people don't really know what they want to do with their life from a career standpoint, probably till their late teens, maybe early 20s. Some people maybe 40s. I mean, who knows? But for most people, it's some point later in life. Would I be wrong in guessing that maybe you've kind of figured it out already?
I have. I mean, I don't really. Someone asked me the other day, which I've never got this question, and it was kind of like it kind of. I mean, opened my eyes a little bit. So they were like, "Have you? I mean, have you ever thought of a second thing? Like, if this doesn't happen, obviously, I wouldn't want this to not happen, but I don't really think I've ever thought about it. I mean, we always joke around because I always bake. I'm always doing everything, and it's like my family's always like, hey, if this doesn't work out, Josie can be a baker or so they're always making comments. But I was like, wait, we always joke about it, but I guess we never thought about it. So I mean, I think and I hope that this happens as my career. I mean, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is. I mean, I know this is what I want to do, but if it
I
doesn't
think,
work out, it doesn't work out.
and I think that's, to me, that's half the battle is, if you do believe that it's what you want to do, and you mentioned even that first night in Florida, you kind of got that bug. And obviously it's not the easiest career to rise to the top in, but I've found, having had the opportunity to speak to country music Hall of Famers, rock and roll Hall of Famers, people that are in their 70s and 80s that are still doing it because they love it. One thing they have in common is dedication. They work hard. Many of them still are taking vocal lessons in their 70s and 80s to keep that instrument intact. So I think if you have that work ethic and you've got that support that you clearly have from your family, I really do believe that the possibilities for you are endless.
Thank you. And yeah, I mean, it's also another reason I think why we all of like the older artists still do it. I think it's because this is like not really a job for us. And if it is, I think that's a problem. Like especially people ask me if this is a job, and I was like, I don't think it'll ever be a job. Like when I'm home, I don't stop singing. My family's like, you need to stop. Like they're like, we can't take this anymore. And I'm like, but I can't stop. It's not possible. My sister, it's her first year in college, and she's in Italy, and she's like, the only thing that's different is Josie's not singing every 5 seconds of the day. And I'm like, yeah, because she's not, she's in Italy. So I was like, I mean, she's like, it's nice, but she's not singing at all. And I was like, I'll call you. And she's like, no, I think I'm okay. So
Wow.
it's like I'm singing all the time. So it's never a job, but it's also
Yeah,
the
and that
best.
also will help you get better and better because you're using that instrument. You're keeping it in shape and you're building it and building it. And I think that that's going to bode well for you and lead to some great things even before that audition at American Idol, because you've got some great things going on right now. So again, I thank you so much for joining me here in the spotlight. If anyone deserves to have it shining on them right now, it's you.
Thank
So
you.
I wish you all the best with Country Gold and everything else that you have in the works the rest of this year and next year. And I look forward to staying in touch and following your amazing career ahead of you.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me.
It's been my pleasure, Josie. Folks, we thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.